Hello, you amazing people. You're listening to the Marketing and Coffee Podcast, the show that brings you the latest in marketing, especially in the UAE market, with your host, age-appropriateness.
So I've got a son of 10-year-old, and the biggest challenge for me is to keep him off electronics. And I never knew there could be a solution that could keep him off electronics. Too early to use the product as of now, but I am sure that as I hand him over the phone at some point of time, there is a solution to keep him off. So what is that solution? So Craig Fernandez, he is the co-founder and CEO of Lock and Stock. We'll talk more about that solution going forward. He's been a Dubai kid. He's worked across many organizations. As a Dubai kid, the first question that comes to my mind, and when you have seen the ups and downs of this city, how are things different this time and how are things similar? I know the city has to fight back. Take us through your journey in Dubai.
My journey in Dubai is a long one. I was actually born in Dubai. I was born in Dubai way back in the 90s, I think, as part of the first wave of first generation of expatriates that were born in the country way back after the immigration boom. I was born in Dubai in the 90s, in 1996. I actually spent the first 13 years of my life in Sharjah. And then when I was 13, we moved to Gissas, which is still, for those of you who don't know, Gissas is a suburb of Dubai. Basically on the outskirts. And I still live here. I still live about 10 minutes walking distance from my high school. I went to Dubai Scholars private high school, went there my entire life. And yeah, I basically, when I was young, Dubai was maybe 10% of what it is today. I've literally grown with this city. I've seen the city grow. Came of age during the boom years when things were just happening on the fly. Grew up on these streets, grew up in these neighborhoods. So Dubai is basically home for me. My parents come from India. I have an Indian passport, but to me, India is a foreign land. Never lived there. So that is my history with Dubai, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So somebody who's brought up in the 90s, something that was never at the forefront of all conversations was the digital well-being and the mental health of kids. And I guess Lock and Stock plays a role. And I think that's the theme on which it's built. How does your app play a role in that? Talk us through it.
Yes, it's very interesting that you pointed out being born in the 90s and then coming of age really in the early 2000s. Digital well-being wasn't something that was talked about at all. When I was in high school, when I was in school, nobody really even had phones. And maybe when I got to like later part in high school, a few people had phones, etc. But there was no such thing as ed tech. Our school didn't even have Wi-Fi. Nobody could bring their phones to school. If you brought your phone to school, it was confiscated because it was not supposed to be there in the school. And that was the scene. At least even when I graduated from high school in 2013, that was how it was. And that was what I grew up in. The world has changed immeasurably in the last 5 to 7 years. Today, EdTech has become almost an ever-present reality in classrooms and schools and universities around the country and around the world, to wherein the learning process is now highly blended between offline and online. Students are signing in or giving their attendance just through their phones or taking quizzes on their phones, ebooks on tablets. All of these things have really happened in the last 5 to 7 years, maybe a little bit older than that, but really primarily in the last half a decade, since 2015 onwards. Now that has caused two things, really. There is a pro in which learning has now become faster, more individualized, more customized, teachers are able to communicate with students faster and more effectively than ever before. Students today don't have to I remember when I was growing up, we had a 10 kg backpack full of books that we had to take to school. That was horrible. Students today don't have to do that. So that's an amazing thing of being a student today. The downside, though, is because there's so much of technology infused with the classroom, students now are always in two minds. Should I actually pay attention? Should I actually use my phone for like educational purposes? Or can I browse Instagram? Can I browse Snapchat? Can I head to Facebook? Something as nonchalant as reading an article about the IPL on ESPN Quick Info? And that's the choice that students have in today's classrooms. There's actually hard research out there which supports this, which backs this up. I think there was research conducted by the University of Wisconsin in the United States, which said that on average, 26% of classroom time is spent for non-educational purposes on mobile phones. 26% on average in classrooms where phones are allowed. 26% of time on average is spent for non-educational purposes. That's a huge amount of time. If you think that there are 8 hours in a day that a student is in class, that's 2 hours per day on non-educational purposes on average. That's a massive amount of time. The problem is real. I think there was research conducted by the Pew Research Center some time back, which stipulated that 61% of students are addicted to their mobile phones. So the problem is real. You see this problem manifesting in countries banning mobile phones in public schools and public colleges. I think Sri Lanka was the most recent to do that. So the problem is real. The problem exists. Lock and Stock was actually born because I saw this problem firsthand when I was a student in university. And class of 25, nobody is paying attention. Everybody's on their phone, on their tablet, on their laptop. Professors just teaching, nobody's paying attention. I saw this problem firsthand. The problem is real. Thus, we launched Lock and Stock. Now, when we were launching Lock and Stock, there are two ways to do it. One of the ways is to build a product that we then sell to professors or teachers or administrations, and they then give it to their students, in which case the administration tells the students to use this application, don't use your phone. We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to do that because that's horrible and it's ineffective. Students are not going to listen. The moment a teacher tells you to use an application to stay off your phone, you've already lost the battle. I was a student myself when we were conceptualizing this, and I knew for a fact that if a professor tells me to do something, especially related to my mobile phone, I'm just not going to do it. And so that was the battle lost right there. That's the one option. The other option, and the option that we chose, and much harder option, is to get students to voluntarily put their phones away. How do we convince a student that it's in his or her best interests to put their phones away? Now, that's the hard part. And to do that, you actually have to solve real student problems, right? You actually have to solve real student problems and give them a reason to just voluntarily, keyword there being voluntarily, put their phone aside. When I was a student, I remember we were thinking about how do we structure this? How do we actually solve this problem? What's the value proposition that we build? And when I was a student, I was broke, as I'm sure many other students are. And I remember thinking to myself, if I got like a buy one, get one free or something, maybe I'll lock my phone for like half an hour, 1 hour, something like that. Maybe I'll just keep my phone locked and I won't browse the internet or won't use Facebook or something. And that was our enigma moment, honestly. It was when a light bulb went off and we said, wow, okay, maybe we can get students en masse at scale to lock their phones if we give them offers and discounts. And that was the base value proposition with which we launched. I remember we launched with 24 brands on the platform on September 24th, 2017. It's an odd coincidence that the launch date and the number of brands are the same, but 24 brands on that date. Today, there are over 600 brands on Lock and Stock, including many of the biggest names in the country: Vox Cinemas, Noble Cinemas, Real Cinemas, Tim Hortons, New York Fries, Popeyes, Splash, H&M, Victoria's Secret. They're all on Lock and Stock. We got a massive pipeline of brands who are coming on board as well because they all want to be part of the cause. Our pitch to brands is help us keep students off their phones. And at the end of the day, these people, they're marketing managers, they're marketing directors, but really, aside from their job role, they're human beings. And they all have families and they all have children. And they also understand that their children are always on their phones or always on their tablets. They resonate with the problem, which is how we've had so much of buy-in. In 3 years' time, we've become the largest student discounts platform in the UAE simply by getting these brands to partner with us and getting students to lock their phones. And that's the mission. That's what we do.
I'm sure that during this COVID times, it would have become even more difficult for keeping the kids off because there is lesser time out that they can go, and they're with the online classes becoming more and more difficult. So before I get on the question, so this solution is only available for mobiles, right? Not tablets, tabs.
At the present time, we're only available for mobile. And that's because when you lock your phone, you get what we call keys, which is our in-app currency. And you then use those keys to redeem offers and discounts. Now, it wouldn't make sense to ask students to take a tablet to like a Philly cafe to redeem a discount, which is the reason why we didn't go onto tablets. We just kept it on mobile phone.
Okay. So what does the data say during COVID times? Has it been more difficult? Have the people making as many points as would they have done before, or is it more difficult?
So you'd actually be surprised, right? You'd actually be surprised. Since the lockdowns in March, our activity has actually skyrocketed because now students are at home, right? Students are at home. There's so many more distractions. It's very easy to get sidetracked off of your online Zoom class or whatnot. And because of that, the buy-in from students has been even greater. Now, we're realists. We understand that if there are 1,000 students, all 1,000 aren't going to lock their phones. We always knew that. But what we figured was, okay, fine. There are maybe 200 to 300 to 500 students that we could actually positively impact. And those are students who think responsibly. Those are students who, okay, fine. If you give them a reason, they also understand in their heart of hearts that they shouldn't be using their phone when they're in class or when they're supposed to be learning. And if you give them a good enough reason, they will then stay off their phones. I remember, so we got an email from a young girl in June. I think it was June or maybe May, sometime back. We got an email from a young girl in about June or May. If you remember, the CBSE exams were first canceled, then they came back. Yeah. Then students had to go into like a examination hall to do it. So it was a lot of chaos, right? Students didn't know what was happening. And this was about in March time or early April. So in May, we actually get this email from this one young girl. And she went to our website, found our contact us, and just dropped us an email. And she said, "Hi, I just want to thank the team at Lock and Stock. Because of Lock and Stock, I was able to cover 75% of my portion and actually do really well in my exams. Lock and Stock is the reason why I was able to finish studying for my exams in just a short span of time. And I just want to thank you guys for that." Yeah. And that was awesome. I remember getting that email and I circulated that amongst the team. And I think we were all very pleased that we were able to impact this one young girl's life in such a positive way. Now, this one person actually sent us the email, but there are 53,000 students on Lock and Stock. So while one person may have sent us the email, we know that as long as we keep doing what we're doing, we're actually having a real impact on these students' lives. And, lockdown or no lockdown.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things that comes up in terms of this app advertises to kids, right? Now, what are the kind of measures that you take that it's age appropriate and it's the right things, like it's advertising the right kind of products, messaging, and how difficult or easy it is to advertise to kids at that age?
Oh, that's actually a very good question. That's something that we had to decide very early on in the history of the company. Very early on, we had to decide what kind of brands would become available to our students on the platform. There are a lot of bars and shisha cafes in this country who are more than willing to offer discounts. They will line up to offer discounts, frankly speaking. But we made the decision very early on in the history of the company. We said no bars, no alcohol establishments, no smoking establishments, no tobacco establishments, nothing of that sort would be allowed to list on Lock and Stock. That is part of our DNA. We made the decision on day one, and we've stuck with that. No bar has ever listed on Lock and Stock, no shisha cafe, etc. At the end of the day, it's not open access. Any business can't come and just list their discount on Lock and Stock. It has to go through what we call a gatekeeper, who then activates the discount and makes it live on the platform and then visible to students. And at that point in the process, any brand that is not student friendly or youth friendly is eliminated. But we actually go one step further than that. We actually push to partner, or I think the right word is, we've made it a priority to partner with brands and other companies who are, one, CSR conscious. So if brands are sourcing their materials ethically or have a reputation for worker wellness wherever their supply chain exists, we actually promote those brands and we push those brands. We give them a few perks and benefits to actually help them do better on the Lock and Stock platform. Aside from that, we also have a very extensive reach among startup brands. And that's something that we heavily prioritize. We give young startup founders in the UAE a lot of spotlight on our social media pages. We put their brands up on Lock and Stock. We push them. We try to get them as much traction as possible, because that's something that we relate to. We understand what it's like to be a startup in the UAE. We know how hard it is. And the fact that Lock and Stock is actually 3 years old, we've actually come so far, we want to give back. So we push brands that are CSR conscious, we push startup brands, and that's what we do. Over and above the basic requirement of keeping alcohol and tobacco off.
One of the things that you said, you're still bootstrapping, and I'm sure the first 100,000 acquisition, you're 53,000 right now?
53,000 students. 53,000, just for the audience, 53,000 may not sound like a lot because you might hear TikTok with 100 million downloads, or like TikTok with 100 million downloads, or Kareem with 500,000 downloads, or something like that. But 53,000 students, there are only 200,000 students between the ages of 14 and 19 here in the UAE. 25% of those students are on Lock and Stock. And that's a huge achievement, I think, for a mobile application to capture 25% of the target audience is phenomenal, I think. It's just, if there were more students, we'd have more users. Because our target market is small, the number of students, 53,000 students doesn't sound like a lot, but you go to Nike, or you go to Tim Hortons, or you go to Heriot-Watt or Wollongong, you tell them you got 53,000 students engaging with the platform there all years. So I'll put that out.
So just run me through. So how was the journey to get the first 1,000 students and the first 10,000? The marketing plans that you used.
It was just a virtual, or what we like to call a viral loop per se. So we got a bunch of students. The day we launched the College Times, so a young startup, UAE-based startup with a mission to keep students off their phones, that's an appealing story. So I remember ringing the College Times. I told them we were launching this company. It was September 24th, 2017. Would you like to cover us in the College Times? And the College Times actually ran a story for Lock and Stock on that day saying Lock and Stock is now launched, is live for students. So it was tremendous. From there, we got a bunch of students on the platform. We began generating some traction. Once we got some students, we then went out and got more brands. We got more brands on the platform. We were able to get more students on the platform. We were able to get more brands. And on that cycle went. That's the virtuous loop, or the viral loop that really just took us to 53,000 students. Because we launched with 24 brands. By the end of 2017, we maybe had around 70. By mid of 2018, we had about 200. By end of 200, we had about 400. By end of 2018, we had about 400. And then on and on. As we kept acquiring more brands, we got more students. As we got more students, it made it easier to get more brands. And today, the biggest brands in the UAE actually contact us. Our marketing is diverted into more, let's say, forms of mass marketing, into more engaging activities with students. And brands actually contact us to list on the platform, to tweak their offers, tweak their discounts, because Lock and Stock is to affect students' lives and to fight digital addiction. We basically had to become the largest student discount platform in the country and marry the two concepts, which is what we've done. So about over 600 brands today on Lock and Stock, connecting with our 50,000 students. Those are huge numbers for the UAE, both on the brand side and the student side. And that's really how we've been able to power this growth.
So did you use any marketing, digital or anything to acquire, or was it purely organic?
Oh, of course, we had to market digitally. Instagram is our primary social media platform that we use and we engage with our students through. When we launched the company about 3 years ago, and really still to this day, Instagram is the number one platform. TikTok actually may be giving it a run for its money right now. But up until the very recent past, Instagram was by far the number one platform for teenagers and let's say early 20s people in the UAE. So Instagram was our primary marketing platform. We also have a Facebook account, a Twitter account, a LinkedIn account, all that kind of stuff. So social media was our primary marketing tool. But more than that, I think the best form of marketing that we did was just making the product as good as possible.
Yeah, I guess the best marketing is the product. I guess itself.
Exactly.
And to create a huge. How does the solution actually work? So the more you not use your phone, you get points. Is that how it works?
In essence, yes. In essence, so you lock your phone, right? It's just that simple. The same way anybody locks their phone, you lock your phone, and as long as your phone is locked through Lock and Stock, you're earning keys. Keys are basically our in-app currency. And for every 1 minute your phone is locked, you earn 1 key. So you lock your phone for 100 minutes, you get 100 keys. Once you're done locking, you unlock your phone, you see how many keys are in your balance, and you can then use those keys to redeem offers and discounts, to unlock offers and discounts. Once you unlock an offer and discount, you go to the store and they'll redeem it for you. We've actually come a long way since then. It's not just offers and discounts anymore. Lock and Stock now also connects students with jobs and internships and scholarships at universities. So it's now a very comprehensive platform, a very comprehensive application with these 3 platforms all operating simultaneously. If you check us out on the App Store, the Play Store, I think I was on the App Store just browsing through the comments the other day, and one of the most recent comments, or I think from a little while ago, was this one student who gave us a 5-star rating and actually left a comment saying, "I love Lock and Stock. Lock and Stock is the reason why I got my first internship." And that's awesome. That's a real student. Youth unemployment is a real student problem. And we actually help the student find work opportunity. And that's tremendous. We're very glad to do that. So now, originally you could lock your phone and get offers and discounts. Now you can lock your phone and get all these other things as well, along with offers and discounts.
Yeah. So for a brand, I guess there's a lot of, they look at it as an engagement, a CSR activity, right? It's not actually sales that they're looking for through this platform, or sales could be a byproduct. So sales, when a brand does come to, what should they look for?
So it's twofold. Our pitch to brands is twofold. On one end, we say, yes, we'll get you redemptions. You don't have to pay us any upfront fee. It's okay. We'll get you the redemptions. It's completely free on the upfront to partner with. And we will bring students into your outlet. We'll bring students to your brand and we'll push your sales. Now, obviously, just talking rationally, we're not going to push your sales as much as an entertainer would do, because entertainer appeals to everybody in the country. It's a mass market application appealing to people from the ages of 16 through to 64. We appeal to people from 14 to 19. So it's a very niche customer base. We'll push your sales. You can't expect us to push your sales as much as entertainers, so don't compare us to those guys. What we'll do is we'll push your sales, but more than that, we'll help create young customers. We'll help bring them into your store for you to then capture them. And the beauty with this audience that we have on our platform, the beauty with the student audience is if you can get a student excited about your product when they're 16 or 18 or 20, there's a good chance they might actually stay with you for the rest of their lives. Because once they finish studying, now they're in the workforce, now they're earning a salary, a monthly wage or something, and now they're a full wage earning consumer. They might stay with your brand for the rest of their life. So catch them young and then watch them grow really is our sales pitch to brands.
Awesome. So if a brand wants to get in touch with you, would LinkedIn be the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, LinkedIn is a great way to get in touch with us. So is our website, lockandstock.app. So is our website. So is our Instagram page. We're actually very open to brand collaborations. As I said earlier, we don't actively now get out on the street, go out to meetings and just actively search for brands. But if brands want to collaborate with us, we are very open to brand collaborations. So LinkedIn, Instagram, our website, really any channel would work.
That sounds great. Thanks a lot, Craig, for coming on the show. For sure, I'm sure there are a lot of parents out there who are listening. My audience has got a lot of people who are parents themselves. Would love to hear more about this app and use it. Hope it increases the subscriber base by at least some numbers, if not a large number. As you said, the numbers are not big, it's as long as whatever gets added to the kitty. So thanks a lot, Craig, for coming on the show. This has been amazing, and all the best to the next phase of the journey.
Thank you so much for having me, Lijo. Thank you so much for having me. Before I sign off, I just want to say that in September, we launched in Pakistan. So if there's any audience member out there from around the world, Pakistan, India, Egypt, Oman, wherever, hold tight. Hopefully within 6 months to a year, Lock and Stock should be there in your country as well. Thank you so much for having me, Lijo, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.